Hey everybody, it's your old pal Cape Joel back again for the first time with the inaugural episode of a show I'm calling the Cape TV Roundup. I figured with so many great new shows on TV and so little time to cover them all in between all the comics I do, I would just kinda mash all my individual reviews together into one big long super show where I sort of contrast and compare and pick like an all-star of the week. First up this week we have to take a look at Tuesday's Flash. The newest episode was entitled The New Rogues, which as the title may have told you, finally finishes off collecting all the classic Flash Rogues members on TV with the introduction of Sam Scudder, aka the Mirror Master. Well, technically this guy, he's the second one to use the name. The first guy had a gun. They actually make a joke about that in this episode. It's pretty funny. And hey, you know what? While we're at it, why not get the top in there too? Only instead of being Roscoe Dillon, now it's Sam's girlfriend, Rosa Dillon. I guess now the Rogues will be less of a sausage fest. The new Rogues even takes things a step further by showing us before they got their powers, Mirror Master and Top were betrayed by Captain Cold, and now that they've returned, they want some revenge. Of course, getting revenge on Captain Cold will be difficult as he's off doing legend stuff, or is he? Because he kinda sacrificed himself at the end of last season, but then they went back in time and he was still there, but we don't know how far back in time they went. Oh god, Legend hurts my brain. I'm glad when Barry tried to explain that show, he just didn't explain anything. And oh, don't you worry, we'll come back to Legends in a minute. Mirror Master's powers are just like they are in the comics, where he can travel through any sort of reflective surface, which definitely gives him an edge over a speedster. I like they even kept intact that thing from the comics, that even though he has this godlike power, he's kind of a dumbass who can't grasp these new abilities. The new Lady Top is a bit of a departure. Instead of spinning herself around, she can now give people crippling vertigo. Now over on the soap opera side of things, Barry and Iris are dealing with trying to get their relationship to the intimate stage while, you know, still under Joe's roof and with him going around. No, really, trying to bang your adoptive sister in your childhood home might be a little uncomfortable for you? You don't say. I get the distinct feeling the writers are regretting certain choices they made when developing this show. Now, furthermore, while it pains me to say these two actors, even though they did a great job pining for each other in seasons past, I dare say I get the feeling now they don't actually have any romantic chemistry together. Maybe this will change, and I really hope it does, considering what a big part of the Flash mythos it is. The resolution to this story was also painfully obvious from the get-go. Barry decides to move out and get his own place so he can bang Iris whenever he wants. The other big thing this episode involves Harry Wells. In a nice bit of writing, the characters admit that things aren't just the same without him and that the show feels better when he's around, but now that his story is more or less done, they can't justify him sticking around, so instead they decide to grab a new Wells from the multiverse. If that seems like a horrible abuse of power and, you know, something that could ruin the space-time continuum, you're totally right, but it does lead to a funny American Idol style scene where they try and audition new Harrys from other Earths. The one they get, while certainly allowing Tom Cavanaugh to try out something new in his acting for this show, he's a bit of a dink and kind of purposely annoying. I'm not gonna not give him a chance, but still, I don't know where they're going with this. As you might have guessed, because we have two villains this episode, it means Jesse Quick is also able to back up the Flash during the final battle itself. Her and her awesome costume, I might add. She shakes off some initial jitters and gets the job done. The real star of the fight, though, was the Carnival Funhouse venue stocked with a bunch of mirrors that are used in creative ways. Ultimately, The New Rogues was an okay episode, let down by some rather underwhelming side plots. Also on Tuesday, we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and their new episode was called Lockup. This episode came packing a lot of new info about the Darkhold and its strange power. Mainly, the book seems to affect people in different ways, and even though the ghosts want it real bad because they're dead, they can't use it, only living people can. Now, the bulk of Lockup involved Coulson and his team trying to get Eli Morrow out of prison, first through official channels, but after the ghosts get involved and the prison is driven nuts into a giant riot, they gotta bust him out the old-fashioned way. At first, Robbie isn't allowed to go, but eventually this all becomes a test to see if Ghost Rider will be a team player or not. When confronted with so many evildoers at once, will the devil in him come out to play? This story plays out rather predictably, but that's not to say it also isn't good. The best part is we learn a little bit more about the accident that caused Gabe's crippling, and now the plot with Robbie has gotten a lot thicker. There's also some good stuff to be had with the Watchdogs this episode. Quake and the others discover that the group has been recruiting from prison. No, Whoa, really? A radical hate group recruiting in prisons? I've never heard that before. Speaking of the watchdogs, we find out the lady leading the group is actually a senator. One of the coolest moments of Lockout came in seeing head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Jeff Mace debate her about the Inhuman issue on TV, with some coaching from Simmons, of course. Also, nice touch dropping the word patriot around Jeff Mace. Speaking of Simmons, she held down the other big portion of this episode. Mainly, she was trying to, account for all the extracurricular S.H.I.E.L.D. activities she's been up to in recent episodes. In the end, she doesn't have to lie because she catches someone else in an even bigger lie, which no doubt will paint a target on her back for the rest of the season. You know what, after so many great shows in a row, Lockup ended up being just okay, another 7 out of 10. Alright, moving on. Now, technically Star Wars Rebels The Final Battle aired last Saturday, but hey, I'm still trying to work out how Cape TV Roundup is gonna work, so just cut me some slack here. The episode found the crew of the Ghost attempting to gather some explosives from a planet ravaged by the Clone Wars. In fact, this entire episode was one giant tribute to the Clone Wars TV show that most of the writers of Rebels also worked on. Ezra got some great laughs early on by not really understanding the point of the historical Clone Wars. Well, Rex, I'm just saying, these droids, they kind of suck super hard. It's just like, your war stood for nothing and accomplished nothing, and all your friends died for nothing. This has got to be a meta dig at the whole Clone Wars era and the films themselves. Eventually, we discover a last battalion of functioning droids led by a mad commander who wants our heroes to take place in one final war games or die to prove his superiority. This, like those real stories you hear of soldiers trapped deep in the jungle who had no idea World War II ended, is a super interesting concept. Yet again, this scenario gave the writers a great chance to tag themselves with bits about how 2 Jedi would always rush in and save the day during the Clone Wars. Fighting these droid foes again seems to, really take its toll on Rex, who acts like he's going through frickin' Nom flashbacks in this episode. It's quite good characterization. Honestly, they could have just ended this episode right here and it would have been great, but this is what I love about Rebels. They take things that extra step further by having the Empire get involved in this skirmish, which means clones, Jedi, and droids all must join forces to battle the same foe in a fight to end the Clone Wars once and for all. Okay, now this is a legendary episode. The final battle was an episode that just felt great from start to finish. The heroes get to put an end to a lifetime of war, and the writers get to end the Clone Wars on their own terms for once. Why, they even changed the Rebel font and music to the ones from the Clone Wars cartoon at the very end. Self-indulgent? You bet, but the best kind of self-indulgence, a 10 out of 10. Lastly on the roundup for this week, we have Legends of Tomorrow with the episode Shogun. Yeah, I know I said on Twitter I wasn't going to cover this show this season, but hey, it's gotten a little better, and why cover an uneven number of shows each week, am I right? Picking up from where the last episode left off, Our Man is dead at the hands of the Reverse Flash. Oh boy, Our Man, he was so important, right? He closed off last season, now he's dead, and we weren't even told what his powers were. Awesome. Vixen, who I can only assume was in love with Our Man, believes that Heatwave of the Legends is to blame for his death, though she stows away and plans to kill him. Why did she choose to single Mick out when new Captain Sarah Lance is a professional assassin? You got me, but that's just kind of the writing in this show. Also, Haywood survived, and thanks to the magic Nazi juice that got pumped into him, he's now a poor man's Colossus, even though in the comics, Citizen Steel was just a guy in a cool costume who could get really heavy, but I guess that wasn't cool enough. Also, seeing as he made him somehow, Ray Palmer has to train him, which seems like a very strange jump in logic, but then again, that's just the way Legends rolls. And I mean, it's only fair that low-rent Iron Man teach poor man's Colossus the ropes. These two dick around for a bit and end up crashing the whole ship in feudal Japan, because every damn adventure these guys go on has to be their own fault for whatever reason. I mean, if it only happened every once in a while, it might be cute, maybe even a bit endearing, but it happens all the time. Now, while all that may sound harsh, truth be told, it's in the second half the episode finds its footing and damn near becomes the best episode they've done so far. This season, they seem to really grasp that part of the fun of doing a time travel show is getting to dress up your cast in period-accurate clothing, and that's totally what they do here. Heatwave gets a really funny arc about really wanting to see ninjas because he's a Chuck Norris fan. Haywood gets to play Seven Samurai-style hero to a village under siege by an evil shogun, and even get the girl while he's at it. Heck, even White Canary gets a cool-as-hell sword fight, so cool in fact I guess she forgot she swore off killing dudes in season 1. They're samurais, they don't count. All in all, everyone felt useful, they worked as a team for once. response. I left feeling super satisfied. I wish they could have found a much less dumb reason to throw our heroes into this scenario, but overall it was still a vast improvement for this show so far. 7.5 out of 10. Well, there you have it. There's the shows of the weeks. If I had to pick a winner, I would have to give that one to Rebels. Be sure to come back next week and see which show claims the top honors. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching my newest video. I hope you enjoyed it, and while you're here, why not check out another video I have on offer, or maybe if you're feeling in a supportive mood, you want to like or subscribe. And if you want to support the creation of more videos just like this one, then please by all means check out the Cape Joel Patreon. A little bit goes a very long way, and I will see you all next time.